Hello everyone, it's Brett here, Lionheart84. So I finished building the last of my raised beds. I've just managed to tuck a small one in here in front of the fence, and I've moved a fair bit of compost into it and then topped up with some bagged compost. Now for the time being you can ignore the Narrandillas or Lulos that I've got around it. They're not going to go in this bed. I've decided to do a little bit of a risky experiment in that I'm going to plant two or three of the plants I'm going to put in here are going to be subtropical to tropical, which probably means there's a good chance they won't make it past winter, but as I haven't got any room for them indoors, they may as well risk outside. So I think I've mentioned before, I'm going to put two passion flowers against the fence at the end. This is actually west facing, so it does get a fair bit of sun during the day, as well as as in the evening as well, so it should be quite a sheltered wall. And if I wanted to try and put some protection over them, it should be possible to do it. Now what I'm also going to try in here, which will be very interesting, is I'm going to put in a Psidium cattleyanum, a yellow cherry guava, because I've actually got three of them, and the last one I've got appears to have been grown in an unheated greenhouse or a polytunnel, so I'm hoping it's going to be fairly hardy and have a slight chance of surviving outside. Now obviously my plan will be to if we get particularly cold weather in winter, I'll probably try and throw a frost blanket over it, and I'm going to put that towards the back as I think it'll be more sheltered, and it might give some protection to the passion fruit vines as well, which hopefully will grow up that fence. And then in front of it I think I'll put the Luma apiculata and probably one of my Chilean guavas, the Capao, the large fruity one, because they don't seem to be taking very well to container growing. And I might put the two honeyberries, I've got several honeyberries, I might put two honeyberries down at the front as well in the hope that they'll grow and pollinate each other. There's room for about 4 or 5 plants in the board. I don't want to put them too close together because I'll run into problems, as I have done before, with overcrowding. But this is the first part of the video, and obviously as I move the plants into position I will carry on with the second and third parts of the video. So welcome back to part 2 of the video, and you can see now that I've put two of my tropical or subtropical to tropical passion fruits in on this west facing fence. Now what I've done here is the one on the left is Passiflora tripartita and the one on the right is Passiflora edulis, which I think is one of the ones that I actually grew from a seed in a fruit, so who knows what that's going to end up like. Now what I've actually done, you probably can't see without me getting down, but I have planted the plants above grade, which is also what I'm going to do with the yellow cherry guava as well. So I've actually planted the plants on mounds of free draining soil, because for these to have any chance of surviving outside for some period of time, the roots need to be well drained and not have water sitting around the stems and the tops of the roots. I mean, they will find water if they need to lower down, but as I discovered with my Maypops or Passiflora incarnata, which have died, and they're hardy, but they couldn't take the high levels of water on the ground. Unfortunately, that's what's caused the problem there. So what I've decided to do is plant these higher up on mounds, and I'll probably have to pick up some bark in the next day or two, because obviously the soil's quite lightweight and sandy that I've planted them on and around them, and that's going to get washed away very quickly with the heavy rain we get. So I've tied them both to the fence to give them a chance. But what I'm thinking is, although these are obviously tropical ones and realistically have got zero chance of surviving the winter, because I've got them against quite a tall sheltered fence, and there's a tall garden building behind the fence, and there's my garden building to the left. This is going to be quite a microclimate here, and I should be able to keep a fair bit of the rain off. So what I'm thinking of doing is, if they survive to autumn and show signs of showing growth, I'll probably late autumn I'll probably cut them back to about 4 feet tall, and I should be able to fit some kind of frost cloth against the fence and over the plants, just to see if they can be got through winter. Now obviously the roots will be exposed more to the cold being high, but I think that the danger is more root rot and excessive rain in our winters rather than the cold getting to the roots. I think it's the wet that's going to kill them. So that's the first part of the planting, and obviously in part 3 I'll be putting some of the other plants in as well, and I'll come back to you in that part of the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the final part of the video. I've got the border planted up now, and I'll try and show you what I've done with what plants I've chosen to put here and why, and how I've planted them. Now obviously you know about the 2 passion flower vines at the back. Now in front of those I have planted, as I discussed earlier in the video, my yellow cherry guava. That's Psidium cattleyanum. This plant looks like it's been quite toughened off. The leaves are very sort of tough and wiry on it, and I believe that the grower was growing it in an unheated polytunnel, so I'm hoping it's got some level of hardiness. You can see the nice new pinkiness to the growth on it, and what I've done to try and cut down the problems of the root rot that I expect to have in the winter, is going to be the main problem with these sort of subtropical to tropicals, is going to be wet roots. So what I've done is I've planted, hopefully you'll be able to see, let's drop the camera down to ground level. I've planted the tropicals above grade, i.e. above ground level. Now that's quite a mound, the yellow cherry guava. That's a good sort of 6 to 8 inches above ground level, and the soil should be quite dry, quite well drained anyway. And I've also done exactly the same with my other part of the experiment, which, if you saw the yuzu video, I've decided to risk putting the yuzu outside, as it is one of the hardiest citrus. Now the plant has got fruit on it, and again I've planted it quite a way above grade. Now what I'm going to do in a minute is, because this is quite a fine, well drained soil here, it's going to be extremely prone to washing away when we get rain. So what I'm planning to do is to put all of the is to cover all of this soil with bark as like a top dressing come mulch. Now the downside of the bark is it's going to trap in moisture. The plus side of the bark is it's going to add some insulation to the roots, which are going to be more exposed, obviously, because I've got them high up on these mounds, and also the bark will stop the soil being washed away. So those are my 2, I'd call them subtropical plants or Mediterranean plants in terms of hardiness. That's the yuzu and the yellow cherry guava. I've decided to put my Luma apiculata out here, which should be fully hardy, so I haven't raised it up, as I think they quite like damp soil anyway. And then I've put 2 of the honeyberries here in the hope that they'll pollinate each other, but obviously due to size I'll have to keep them relatively well pruned back to stop them getting out of control. And then finally I've moved my this is Chilean guava Capel. I've moved here. It wasn't very happy in a container growing among the other plants, and again it doesn't really need to be on a raised berm particularly, because they're quite tolerant of damp soil from Chile. So I will put some bark over it. Now I seem to have missed out. It's had a couple of flowers on it this year, which I don't think have set fruit, or if there are, there's 1 or 2. But obviously next year I'm hoping, being in ground, it'll take off and I'll get a load of flowers on it. So that's my experimental raised bed, and as you can see I'm filming this late afternoon, and being as it's west facing, it's got pretty much full sun on it. Oh, and I almost forgot, just for fun, tucked away behind here, I think you better just about see it, I've planted one of my lulos or naranjillas. Now that's Solanum ketoense. Now that's most definitely not hardy at all, so that will almost certainly die, but I thought I'd like to see how big it would grow in ground. Let's walk round here to have a look. I thought I'd like to see how big it would grow in ground if I planted it at the beginning of August. I expect it'll be okay outside up until the end of October, but as I've got about at least 8 or 9 of them, there was no need to save it, so I thought it'd be a fun experiment. And you never know, it maybe it could survive a cold winter if it's in a sheltered position here. But in any case, these are all going to get nice sunshine for probably 2/3 of the day, and it should be quite sheltered here next to the shed. And I'm planning to take a couple of cuttings off the yuzu come October just in case the plant does get killed in a cold winter. Hopefully I'll have a couple of young ones to take its place. So anyway, thanks anybody for watching the video. I won't bother filming the bit where I've put the bark on, that's just the finishing touches, but it's going to be a daft experiment probably to try the yellow cherry guava outside, but I thought as I've got 2 other large ones that are flowering anyway, I might as well have a bit of fun and see if it manages to survive. I mean, it might get cut back bad by the cold but come back from lower down, but I'll probably put frost sheets on that if we get really cold nights coming, and possibly on the yuzu, just to see if I can keep them protected. But thanks anybody who's watched this video in its various parts, much appreciate it. Please give me a thumbs up. Obviously you're welcome to share the video if you think anybody else would like to see what I'm attempting to do outside here. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and please remember that if you do want to see follow-ups, remember to click on the bell and you'll get update videos as they come out. I'll catch up with you all in my next video. Brett out for now.